Welcome. I am Btech Patel, lecturer in University in Physics. My topic is sound. First is introduction of sound. Then second is classification of sound. There are three types of sound. First is infrasonic sound, second is audible, and third is ultrasonic. Weber-Fechner's law depends on the loudness and intensity. Then third is reverberation time. Reverberation is duration between generation of sound and absorption of sound. Factors affecting on sound. What is sound? Sound is vibration of matter. Any matter will vibrate, then it will produce sound, like drums, sitar, guitar, all are producing sounds when it will vibrates. Longitudinal wave, sound is longitudinal wave. Property of sound is longitudinal wave. Sound will propagate in the direction of propagation. Second, required medium. Sound will require medium for propagation. In vacuum, there will no sound will propagate. There are three types of sound in frequency dependence. First is infrasonic sound. Frequency of infrasonic sound is below the 20 Hz. Second is audible sound. Audible sound has frequency between 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Above the 20 kHz, it will be ultrasonic sound. Classification of sound by its audibleness. First is musical sound. Musical sound will please us. It will pleasing you. Like sitar, guitar, all the instruments, all the musical instruments will pleasing us. Musical sound. And second is noise. Noise will jarring you. Like you can't listen that sound. Sound of road, traffic, then crackers, all are the noise. Then property of musical sound. Property of musical sound is regularness in shape of wave. Then heavy defined periodicity, means all the waves have particular periodic time. Then they don't undergo the sudden change in amplitude, means its amplitudes can't change rapidly, like this figure. Second is noise. Noise has irregular shape of wave. Then definite property, there is no defined property of periodicity between two waves, like figure. The undergo sudden amplitude, means its amplitude will change rapidly. Characteristics of musical sound. There are three characteristics. First is pitch. Pitch depends on the frequency. If frequency is high, pitch is high. If frequency is low, pitch is low. Second is loudness. Loudness depends on the intensity of sound. How much is the intensity is directly proportional to the logarithmic intensity of loudness. Then timbre is quality of sound, means if there are many instruments, then timbre is high. Pitch is rapid vibrations in sound. If vibrations are high, frequency is high, then pitch is high. If vibrations are slow, then pitch is low. In this example, first flute and second is mouth organ, both have different wavelengths. So if wavelength is lower, then frequency is higher, so it will be high pitch sound. And second, wavelength is higher, frequency is lower, then it is low pitch sound. Timbre depends on the distinguishedness of two musical instruments. Depends on the presence of overtones, means how much instruments are playing at a one time. It depends on the musical notes by presence of notes. How much notes are producing at a time, like guitar and drums both are playing at a one time, then we can't distribute, then it is low timbre. If we distinguish it, then it is timbre high. Loudness, so as per loudness there are two types of sound. First is musical sound, second is noise. Loudness is depends on the intensity of sound. If intensity is higher, then loudness is higher, means it is a noise. If loudness is pleasing you, it is low intensity, then it is a musical sound. Like this relation, loudness is directly proportional to the intensity of logarithmic shape. If we differentiate this equation, then we will get the listening ability or physical quantity, means intensity which you can hear at a time by ear, sensitiveness of ear. Absorption of sound, when sound is propagated, then absorbing materials like walls, carpets, all will absorb the sound. Unit is Sabin, and absorption coefficient definition is sound energy which will absorb by the material and sound energy which will incident or produced at a time. Sound absorption is the property of a surface like wall and curtains, floors, all have different absorption coefficients, means all have different ability to absorb the sound. It is called absorption of material. It is depends on the frictional resistance, means if there is rough surface, then friction is high, so sound will absorb very high, means in rough surface there is high absorption coefficient. Absorption coefficient is sound energy absorbed by sound energy incident. Unit is Sabin or open window unit, OWU. Sabin has chosen one open window of 1 meter square, and the absorption of this window is compared by different materials of this absorption coefficient, and ratio of the area of the material is called absorption coefficient of the material. Like if we have 5 meter square cube or area absorption coefficient, absorption material, then the absorption coefficient of this material is 1 divided by 5. 1 is open window unit and 5 is ratio of our absorption material, and it will be 0.20. It means if we have 5 meter square absorption material, then it will give you absorption coefficient of 0.20. Reverberation and reverberation time. Reverberation is prolongation or continuation of the sound in the room. How much sound is produced and prolonged in the room. The time between generation of sound and absorption of sound is called reverberation time. This is the equation for reverberation time. T1 is reverberation time, 0.167 is constant, V is volume of all, sigma As, where A is absorption coefficient of the walls and floors, S is surface area of the walls and all the surfaces. Factors affecting on the acoustic building. How much is building and how much we have to set the reverberation time, or how much we set loudness, then we get efficient sound. It is called factor affecting on the acoustic building. First is reverberation time. Reverberation time is at an optimum value, means if reverberation time is low, then sound will absorb very high and we can't listen proper sound. It will be a dead room, means we can't listen the sound at a time. If reverberation time is high, then we get echo in a room or hall, then we can't listen clarity of the sound, we can't listen syllable of sound. Remedies for reverberation time optimum value. providing windows and openings, means we have to provide windows in halls, so we get optimum value of reverberation time. Then full capacity of audience, means all the seats will full with audience, then we get high reverberation time, because all the audience will absorb some sound. Then heavy curtains with folds will absorb the sound, and they will reduce the reverberation time. Then covering floors with carpets, if we cover the floors with carpets and etc materials, then we set the reverberation time at a optimum value. Loudness is the property of sound which we have to adjust. If loudness is higher, then there is noise production, and if loudness is lower, then we can't listen sufficient sound, or we can't audible that sound. There should be uniform distribution of loudness, means all the area of the hall have continuous loudness. Remedies: using absorbents of some materials, absorption materials at a high noise places. Where noise is higher, we use absorption materials which can absorb the sound. Then low ceilings will affect the sound, like sound will reflect highly towards the audience. Large sounding boards, means loudspeakers and all things which propagates the sound towards the audience at a high loudness. Then focusing, if focusing is not a set at a time, then like if there is a curved shaped dome or ceiling, then sound will reflects in different directions. So, and we can listen the sound maximum at a sound foci, and at some points we can't listen the sounds. That spots are called dead spots, where we can't audible that sound. Then high reflecting parallel surfaces, if parallel surfaces are high reflecting, then focusing of sound will distribute in all direction. Remedies: we have to remove or avoid curved surfaces to get high focusing. Then echoes are the reflection of sound. If reflection of sound is higher, then we can't listen proper quality of the sound. So we have to avoid the selecting proper shape of auditorium, means we cannot use a curvilinear shape or curved shape of the auditorium. Echo may be avoided by covering the hall by the absorption coefficients. Echelon effect: if echelon effect is occurred in a stepped theatre, or stepped theatre have different heights of steps, then we can reduce the echelon effect. Echelon effect is an effect of sound which has sound reflection or echo production by different phases. Resonance is the production of sound where frequencies are matching. Like if lecture is continuous and some sound is produced by other objects, then the frequency of that object and frequency of the audible sound is matched, then there is the distortion in sound. The vibrations of body may be suitable damped to this resonance. Noise: there are three types of noise. First is airborne noise. Airborne noise is propagates from the air. Means if there is huge traffic or there is a plane going from above or train passing by, then it will produce a noise by air, then it is called airborne noise. Then second is structure noise, structure borne noise. Structure borne noise means it is depends on the structure of building. If building is not suitable for that structure, then it will produce high noise. And internal noise is the noise produced by internal objects. Airborne noise is the noise which comes by air in the building, like there is huge traffic in surrounding and there is railway station nearby or bus station nearby or airport or marketplaces, then it will produce the noises. So we have to avoid these places where there is marketplaces and other places which produces the noise. So we have to build the building from distance towards these places. Then we have to board the trees or garden at a surrounding places. Then structure borne noise. Structure borne noise comes due to the structured extensions. In industries there is a huge machineries which will produce the noise. So we have to remove this noise. So we have to construct the building by that of reverberation time and loudness, like machineries and domestic appliances will overcome through the vibration, and this vibration we have to remove. Then we have to use machinery sports. Then remedies: cavity walls, compound walls, and increases the noise transmission loss. Internal noise will produced by the internal objects, like if there is a lecture in a hall, then somebody will move the body, then it is called internal noise, or step noises from outsides. Thank you.